I have to admit that first album with Tom Dowd, he wasn't always very comfortable, and it was a lot for us to handle at the time. And I'm actually really surprised you're not the first person to mention Blackjack with me doing some press for my upcoming trip. So obviously we did make some sort of an impact. But, we were young and hungry, and we did the best we could. But I can't give you a definite reason why it didn't really happen. But we were one of those infamous hard rock melodic bands that should have and didn't,
Everyone to Christmas Podcast 4K, the second coming. I am one of your hosts, Eli Clausen.
And I am
making copies, the stapler guy.
Yeah.
All right, this week, by the way, do one of those on your nipple. But So this week, man, like we said, things are starting to pick up. We had a really good album this week. The first Blackjack record featuring Bruce Kulick and also Michael Bolton on vocals. Self-titled album, but in a way, like, you can kind of say it's called number one also based on the markings on the record and stuff. But technically it's just a self-titled record. But yeah, good stuff, man. Enjoyed listening to this again. Man, it just really shows how good Bruce Kulick is what I was thinking. I mean, there's just so many catchy riffs and solos that he does in this album. And, was just so excited to listen to it again. What was your initial thoughts on it?
Musically, at least in the beginning, it reminded me a lot of Paul Stanley's solo album, the 78 solo album. Definitely like that. I had forgotten because it's been a long time, just not that big a fan of Michael Bolton's voice.
I agree. At times, like, it almost sounded like he was going for the Robert Plant sound in a way. And then at other times it was, that typical Michael Bolton sound. And I guess, I don't know, like, I guess if you try to think in the terms of, okay, this is before all that sappy stuff that we know him the best for, I guess if you kind of look at it, in at that time frame of that 70s rock, maybe that was considered a pretty good, voice for the times, concerning what was out there. Unfortunately, what was to come though was what he's best known for.
Right. And there's no doubt at all that he's a great vocalist. The acrobatics and stuff that he does on there, stuff that most people definitely cannot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just on a personal note, essentially, is just the real hard vibrato on a lot of the notes and stuff. Like, yeah. But yeah, great guitar work.
Absolutely. So we don't have too many comments this week. Again, I understand a lot of people probably just shied away from the last episode based on the album. We were hoping maybe people would still tune in for the 25 Kiss songs, but hey, we get it. But so yeah, not really any comments. Only one, I think, or maybe a couple.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, Jay Rucker actually commented to let us know that we already did an episode on Jigoku Retsuden, and I probably just butchered that horribly. Which is, if anybody doesn't know, it's the same thing as Kiss Classics, which we did find that out, but we forgot to take that album off the list before we posted it. But
yes.
Thank you for the information there, Jay. Yes. It just is known by an alternate name, which I searched for that funny, making the computer say it that we were using in the Kiss Classics episode, and I can't find it anywhere. Ruined my whole day.
Yeah, so we'll make sure to get that edited out of the list that we just posted, which, again, by the way, if you guys haven't seen it, we did post the entire list, which had been requested. It's in our group page, not the regular page we've been posting in, but it's under the group. So again, make sure you go join that group instead of the page, and it's under the files section there. You'll find it. So that way you guys could keep up, kind of get ahead if you want. Hey, maybe we can start getting some guests on here with us now that you guys know what's coming. If we got anybody that wants to guest on any upcoming episodes, hey, let us know.
Indeed.
So other than that, we also was it Jay that also informed us about the other Blackjack record?
Yeah, somebody did say something about that. I actually discovered it too on Wikipedia while I was listening to this, because I had forgotten about that comment until you reminded me of it. But yes, there is actually a follow-up Blackjack album, which happened the year after the one we're doing here, which means it won't be the next one we do, but it will be the one after that.
Right. So we will get that added to the list. Kind of worried about this one, to be honest, because when I was looking it up on Discogs, it kind of says soft rock and that kind of thing. But as this first album, it's just straight up rock, the classic rock. So I'm kind of a little worried that maybe this second album might not be quite as good. But hey, we'll find out. So we're gonna track this one down too. Don't think this one's on YouTube either. We'll track it down one way or another. If I have to order the record, I was already looking that up. We'll get it in and get the recordings done and listen to it.
Yeah.
So that'll do it for what little bit of comments we had, and
So some album info then, eh?
sure.
Yeah. So of course, Blackjack was an American rock band. They were only active in 1979 and 1980. It did feature Michael Bolton, who at the time was still going by Michael Bulletin. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that, but his birth name.
Mm-hmm.
Also Bruce Kulick, Sandy Gennaro, and Jimmy Haslip. So they released 2 albums, this one here in 1979, and then their second album, Worlds Apart, in 1980. They did a tiny tour, but not really much after that. Interestingly, Bob Kulick was also given an invite to join this band, but turned it down.
Nice.
Yeah, so very interesting here. See if I can find this. Yes. So Bruce had just come off the road touring with Meatloaf, of course. Both Bruce and Bob had done a show backing up Michael Bolton, who had 2 solo albums prior to this Blackjack album, but both under Michael Bolton. And then, Michael wanted the 2 Kulick brothers to join this new thing that he was going to do. Bob didn't want to. Bruce said, sure, why not? And they ended up signing up to Polydor Records right away and doing this album that we're about to do here. Didn't really get too much. There was a single that they shot a couple of videos. Didn't really get anywhere. Bruce went off and played on Billy Squier's album, The Tale of the Tape, which is next week's episode. And then the guy who produced that album ended up producing the second Blackjack album, but they didn't tour for it. There were no videos, no singles. Pretty much the label didn't care about it, so they broke up. So, bit of a sad story there. But this album was released, it's, like you said, self-titled, June 18th, 1979. It was recorded at Criteria Studios in Miami, Florida. Produced by Tom Dowd, which is an interesting person here. I just clicked over here. He is actually credited for innovating the multi-track recording method, which is huge. That's like everything now. It's the multi-track recording.
Yeah, there is a great documentary out there. It's kind of hard to find. It's about Tom Dowd. I believe it's called The Language of Music, something along that line.
Yeah.
Definitely look it up, though. It is great. I mean, the man was amazing. Of course, he's well known for working with the Allman Brothers as well, and so many other great artists and albums.
An absolute ton. Yeah. So this album does feature pretty much all songs written by Michael Bolton and Bruce. There are two songs that only credit Michael Bolton, but also interestingly, there are two songs, the opening track and also the third track, The Night Has Me Calling for You, that also credit Bob Kulick.
Huh.
So
Nice.
even though he didn't join the band, he must have gone ahead and helped them write some stuff. So, in addition to the people mentioned, we've got Michael on lead and backing vocals, Bruce playing lead and rhythm guitars, Jimmy Haslip playing bass and doing backing vocals, Sandy Gennaro playing drums and percussion. Again, I'm probably butchering that name. Jan Moloney on keyboards, Chuck Kirkpatrick on backing vocals, Tony Battaglia on backing vocals, Eric Troyer on backing vocals, and then, of course, Tom Dowd producing, Steve Gursky engineering, and Mike Fuller mastering. So interesting how many backing vocalists are listed there. That's 3 different voices that are not considered band members.
Yeah, and it seemed like I couldn't really notice that many extra vocals. It sounded like to me there was only 2. Like, because from what I heard, it sounded like maybe Bruce was doing backing with Michael, and that's all I could really pick out from what I was hearing. That's interesting.
Yeah, I heard one other voice, really clearly that didn't sound to me like Michael Bolton's, and yeah, I couldn't quite figure out what else was going on there.
Wow.
So yeah, that's pretty much all we've got for this one. This does have a rating of 4.5 stars from AllMusic, so apparently even in the modern world, it's fairly positively looked upon.
Yeah, it's definitely a sleeper, man. It's I guess in a way it's kind of starting to become that kind of a cult favorite among especially the Kiss fans, of course. A lot of the fans kind of going back and discovering this stuff and really enjoying the Blackjack stuff. Um, Unfortunately, obviously Bruce, you don't hear him speak about it much because obviously he's talking more about his Kiss years and all that, which is understandable. But I mean, amazing to think that only within 4 or 5 years after the second Blackjack album, he's joining Kiss. I mean, just and then Michael Bolton, of course. I think it was probably around that same time was when he kind of started getting his hits going, and all that stuff he's well known for. How many times can I say that? But so kind of a good thing in a way that they the band happened to break up and they ended up finding greater success, obviously. But definitely glad that we do have some sort of blueprint left behind with the Blackjack album. And again, hopefully the second album is going to be just as good, if not better. But
Yeah,
kind of a little worried already, so we'll see. But, so yeah, let's. I guess we'll get on into it.
yeah.
All right. So with the first track, we have "Love Me Tonight." Ranked this at number 8. Uh, pretty pretty weak start to the album, to be honest. It's a little kind of ballady. You kind of get that. Like, here's Michael Bolton's voice. You get that, but by no means, is it what to expect, because it really starts picking up from the second track on, in my opinion. I just felt like this first track was a little bit of a slow start to the album, and you didn't really get the full showcase of the band, especially Bruce, and so yeah, that's why it's number 8.
Yeah. This one was my number 2, actually. Like I said, it just immediately gave me a Paul Stanley solo album vibe. I really liked that riff that started the whole thing. But yeah, really short. The chorus is one of those choruses, and this turns out to be common through this album, where the chorus is pretty much just the title of the song sung over and over, which got a tiny bit annoying. Wishing the guitars were a little louder in the mix. I wasn't hearing Bruce as well as I wanted to, and then yeah, no guitar solo, so bit let down there. But good song overall.
Yes, absolutely. Track 2, "Heart of Stone." Rank this one at number 2. So like I say, it really starts picking up from here on. Starts gathering that steam. Um, the and the main reason, this is my favorite as far as number 2. It's, Bruce, man. I mean, his licks are just so infectious, and the solo on here, it's all just so catchy, man. I mean, I found myself kind of focusing on that more than, like the vocals and whatnot. I kind of sort of tuned in and out at the time, but man, when he some of them riffs, and when he was hitting them solos, it just always has my attention. So it just, like I said, it was a really good feeling, like to just be like, man, that just totally backs up why he's my second favorite Kiss guitar player. I mean, he's just so good at everything he does.
Yeah. Yep, this song was my number 1 on here. Yep,
Cool.
it was cool groove right away. The background vocals in the chorus were really cool. Did like that. One thing that I noted here that, again, it pretty much applies to the entire album, but this was the first time that it really occurred to me that, the production of the album is pretty good overall, but I really wish that they had produced the drums a bit more like stereotypical 80s drums. We were right on the cusp of this being in 1979, and they went for that real dry 70s sound. And it sounds good, it works, but it just doesn't quite fill out everything as well as I wish it would. This is one I felt like really would have benefited from some real big reverby drums.
Absolutely. I mean, especially with everything else going on at the time, and even with the disco fad, you would think that they would throw elements of that in there just for the fact. But yeah, they totally stay away from that. 'Cause, I mean, obviously, here we are looking at the same year that Dynasty came out.
Right.
And you just look at the stark differences in these two albums and the styles, and so they definitely stayed away from it. Track 3, The Night Has Me Calling For You, which was talked about a little bit earlier. This is my number 1. And honestly, it was a real toss-up between those last 2 songs. I was real close to saying Heart of Stone as well, but I just kind of gave the edge because, again, the solo, I thought it was a little catchier than the last time, and just really good stuff. So really enjoyed it. So once again, blowing my number 1 within the first 3 songs. So.
Same, yeah. Yes. Interestingly, this one for me was number 10.
Wow.
Yeah, just couldn't get into it. I don't know, it didn't catch me. And then Southern Ballad started, and I was like, oh, geez, it's over? Didn't even catch that was, it didn't feel like that was the end. Okay.
Well, like he said, next track, Southern Ballad, If This Means Losing You. This is my number 10. I just felt like there was a lot more to be desired to it. It's a real, basically it's just real stripped down vocals. There's no, spotlight guitar playing in this song. It's just a real laid back, type of, well, obviously it's in the title, type of ballad.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, and again, don't get me wrong, I did enjoy the whole album. It's definitely listenable, but yeah, this one just happened to be the least favorite at the time. I mean, just like I say, those last 2 songs, how much they were getting me pumped up, and then that comes on. It was like I was, in that mood. I wanted to hear something good and upbeat and a little heavy. So
yeah. Yep, same. This was my number 8. I did enjoy the acoustic guitar work on that one. Of course, Bruce doing his thing was good.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
Oh,
yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It just didn't catch me. The first two songs kind of caught me and excited me for what the rest of the album had, and then having this one so early, it just sort of like, oh, I was looking to keep rocking a bit.
yeah, absolutely. They kind of let us go a little bit, and then they kind of start bringing it back here with the next track, which is the last track on side one, "Fallen." I gave this one number 5. Um, I did like this. It was kind of catchy. The chorus had a nice catchiness to it. It was to me the most different sounding song on the whole album, and I felt like, at least what I was thinking is Bruce's vocals, I felt like that was standing out more on this song during the chorus. Um, you can kind of hear that signature Bruce, accent that he has. At least that's what I was thinking. But yeah, pretty good song. Again, it's picks it back up, and just a real catchy chorus on it. Good stuff.
Yeah, this was my number 6. Really enjoyed the return to the upbeat groove, that's for sure. Like we were talking about with Southern Ballad being a little bit too early of a dip in energy, this one really brought it right back up.
Yes. Yeah.
And it really seemed like I'm almost surprised this wasn't one of the singles, because it seems like it could have been really popular in that time period.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of surprising that it didn't take off.
This is nothing like the others. I ain't never felt like this before. Falling, I'm falling, falling, I'm falling, falling, I'm falling, 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 for you. Pull myself many times before.
What were the singles? Did it say?
Yes, Love Me Tonight and Without Your Love.
Oh well, yeah, definitely not good choices. Because
Nope.
speaking of that, the next track is "Without Your Love," and it is my number 9. So both singles they released were 8 and 9, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly can't remember too much about this song. It didn't stand out. I was expecting a lot more. Being the first song on the side two, when you flip it over, you're expecting that, another smack in the face to start that side off. And I just don't recall much about this song. Nothing that I could specifically point out.
Right. Yeah, this one was my number 5, and I felt the same. I wasn't sure about this one until the chorus, and then I really liked the chorus, the way things changed up a little bit, and then the way they led back from that first chorus into the second verse was pretty cool. I also noted that there's a drum beat that's a little bit after the 2-minute mark. It sounds like Peter. I mean, obviously it's not, but it's that 100,000 years, that thing. And it occurred to me, it's like, yeah, you know what? This is 1979. There's absolutely a good chance that Sandy Gennaro was influenced by earlier Kiss stuff.
That's crazy.
So yeah, seems almost like we're hearing a little bit of Kiss influence on that one.
That very well could be, and like how ironic too, with the weird tie-in, how it all ties together.
Right.
Crazy. Next up is "Counting on You." I gave this one number 3. Again, just a really good Bruce heavy track with the guitars. Just really, really, really enjoyed this one. Bolton's vocals I felt were one of the best on this album, on this song. But yeah, it just really, really picks it up and kind of helps keep you going. The last 3 songs sort of tail off at times again, but this was probably the last great, you know, pick me up type of song on the album, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yep. I also had this one at number 3.
Uh,
This one really piqued my interest with the way the intro comes in, and then really before you even get a chance to get a handle on it, it goes into something totally different. The verse is this kind of softer, but it works. Everything works, and I really liked that dynamic. So immediately it caught me and made me want to pay attention to the rest of the song. And then what the rest did for me that I found interesting was that it definitely gives you that relaxed vibe, but it does a really good job of still being really rock.
yes.
Somehow pulls those two things together, and it worked out really well.
Was this? I can't recall. Is this the one that started off with like that little like snare roll type thing, where it's kind of built up like, and then I think it did like a ba da ba, and then it just goes into something
Yeah.
like not even similar. I can't remember if that's the same. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the one I was thinking, but I'm pretty sure one of them songs kind of started off with like a little snare roll, and then it just goes into something like you're not even expecting.
Yeah.
Which there will be samples on here for sure this time for you guys.
Yes.
And as always, we recommend getting the album if you can find it. Order the vinyl, order the cassette, whatever it's available on. Track 8, as mentioned earlier, is the track that Bob Kulick helped co-write, I'm Aware of Your Love. Not to be confused with I'm in Need of Love,
Yeah.
the Ace Frehley album. Good stuff. I wasn't even aware that Bob helped co-write this song until it was mentioned here in the episode, and it really shows, man. The Kulick brothers together. I mean, they're one thing on their own, but when they're working together, man, it's a monster. So definitely stands out on here. Honestly, if I knew the Bob influence, I might have ranked this a little higher now instead of 7, but that's where it was at the time of listening. So
Indeed. Yeah. I've actually got this one as my number 4. I really liked that acoustic and electric guitar playing together in the intro. Coming in and it was an upbeat thing was really cool. Felt a lot more like early 70s rock on this one, and I like that. If I've got any complaint that kept this one from being higher, it's the title of the song, which seems really flippant and I'm aware of your like what is that? And 2, similarly to that complaint, Michael Bolton could have written some other lyrics other than just singing "I'm aware of your love" over and over.
yeah, I think that was another reason it ranked where it did for me. It just kind of got a bit annoying to be perfectly honest.
So musically, just spot on, really good. Yeah, lyrically, yeah.
Next up, man, this is a really interesting one. The song is called "For You," and ranked this at number 4. This one is a pure through and through ballad. Really, really enjoyed it though, man. I, it even I made a note here. It kind of reminded me of Bob Seger at times, um, that type of style. But really, really enjoyed this. I mean, this is honestly, this is the type of song that like it should almost be played at weddings, and I mean, it was that good. It's like one of them sleeper ballads that's out there that I wish more people knew about. But I really did enjoy it. I guess being that this was second to last song, it kind of hit better having a ballad here instead of so early like earlier in the album.
Right.
But and when it, of course, when it started and I realized this is a ballad, I was kind of like, oh, okay. But boy, was I wrong, because it just caught me, and listening to the lyrical content, yeah, just a really good ballad.
Yeah. This one was actually number 7 for me. This is another one I feel would have really benefited from the big reverby drums, especially for its ballad. It would have filled out so much space and given it that big feel.
Yeah.
And when I started kind of picturing how it would sound like that, it started giving me a "I Still Love You" sort of vibe. Like it's clearly not a song like that, but having those big reverby drums and the timing and feel of it would have been interesting there. What I really did like about this song was the guitar solo. The guitar solo was huge, and this one
Yes.
just went on and on and on. And I was like, finally, Bruce really gets a spotlight here. So I did.
Yeah, I mean, this song is really a sleeper. It's a lot of good stuff in it, a lot of good elements. All right, so final track of the album. Another Heart of. This time it's Heart of Mine. Gave this number 6. Pretty good album closer. Nice to take it out on an upper note, upbeat type of level. Yeah, I mean, so a nice closer to a nice solid album. With the Bruce playing on here, the Michael vocals, all that stuff. Just a good solid, your typical 10 song 70s good rock album. Very very listenable. I highly recommend listening to it.
Yep, Heart of Mine was number 9 for me. Did have an interesting bluesy feel. Again, it sort of reminded me of something from like Peter's '78 solo album, stylistically. However, I didn't really think this was that great of a closer personally. Again, it was too short. There wasn't much in it. I like to have something big and exciting and memorable, so that you're so pumped that you kind of want to just start the album from the front again and play it again.
Right.
And I felt like there were different songs on here that would have done a better job than this one. This one almost felt like a throwaway that they put at the end just to put it somewhere.
True. Like just to get that 10th song or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, that song Fallen, that almost seems like that would have been a better closer.
Yeah.
For the whole album or something. I can see that. I agree. All right, so that does it for the whole album. Ranking wise, I'll give this one a 4. Like I say, I highly recommend it. Pick it up. You gotta love Bruce's stash on there. That's the best part about it. But yeah, I mean, good, just straight rock and roll. No gimmicks needed. Bruce's playing on here is already amazing, and again, this is 5-6 years before he even joins Kiss.
Yeah.
And the stuff he went on to do for them. So this is like an early taste of what Bruce was about. And hey, like I said, it caught me. That it just really, really, really enforced why I like his playing so much, and he has so many catchy licks, and the solos, and this just totally backed it up. So I mean, it's definitely a highly recommended listen. Please give it a shot. So
yeah, I would agree, without a doubt. And Bruce, for me, really saved this album.
mm-hmm.
And having said that, though, I wish that he hadn't stayed in the background for so much of it, because I felt like throughout the album his guitars were there, but not as there as they should have been.
Right.
Just personally for me, the solos he had were great, but I wish he had more of them. That, like I said, several of the songs just don't like the opening track. Man, the opening track should have had a guitar solo in it.
Yeah. They definitely should have been a different album opener too, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I agree with 4. That's actually where I had it as well. Much as I hate to say it, I had higher expectations. I wasn't it's not a bad album. I don't want it to come across as all as that I'm saying it's a bad album. I think I was hyped, so I was a little bit let down because I was too hyped. Heart of Stone, definitely a huge point, and so I was excited still there. But yeah, like I said earlier, not a huge fan of Michael Bolton's voice, even though you just can't deny it. He's a great vocalist. Not my
Right.
thing. I was also surprised when I read the Wikipedia page that the keyboardist wasn't considered an official member of the band, because I thought the keyboards were really prominent all throughout the album, like sometimes even louder than Bruce. So why was that guy not considered official? And then again, I've always enjoyed the 70s style production, the sound of the early Kiss records and stuff. Just perfectly encapsulates that 70s production style, and this album very much has that, which was nice. But like I mentioned a couple of times, at least for the drums, I wish they'd gone for something a little bigger, more reverby, take up more space. Would have made everything a bit more exciting. I kind of feel like maybe not Creature's drums level, but something a little bit bigger,
That
But
would have been great.
yeah. So
Um,
again, yeah, I had a lot of negative things to say. I agree. You definitely give this one a listen. It's worlds better than both Nested and Instant Replay.
I think that's a big part of it, man. It was like a nice breath of fresh air,
Yeah,
um, coming off those two Vinny albums. Like, for once, you could finally hear that member of Kiss that we're focusing on,
yes,
can actually tell that's them on the album.
right.
And I think that was kind of a big part of it. Like, finally, here we are. Um, and I agree. I was a tad bit, I was kind of let down. I was expecting more as well, because again, I had only listened to the album one time when I first got it, and that's been, I don't know, at least maybe 4 or 5 years, I'm thinking. And so this was only my second time listening to it, and I couldn't remember anything from the first listen, and I was kind of expecting that typical 70s, like the hard rock type stuff, because there's so much of that good stuff.
Right.
And so yeah, I was a tad bit let down when that first track came on. Then I remembered, okay, I remember what this is about, and you know, but again, there are definitely spotlights on here, and it's a great listen, and I could definitely see myself visiting it a little more often now. And I'm actually, again, kind of excited to dive into that second album when we get there, just to see, how different it is, and
Where did they
hopefully
go?
my, huh,
Where did they go from this? Yeah.
and hopefully my pre-expectations are not going to be correct.
Right. Right.
But yeah, so again, like we both said, we both highly recommend listening. Um, hey, go pick it up. Let's get on Bruce's page. Everybody start messaging Bruce about the album. Let's get him to talk about it. Play some of the riffs.
Yes. Bring back Heart of Stone in your modern set.
Yes, that would be killer.
Yes. All right, so I think I got us all ranked up here. If you're ready for that.
Sure.
All right, so first off, we need some more people in here. This one, just like the last album, is just you and I. In fact, we had less, because even Jay Rucker piped in to say that Laura Nero was terrible and it got a 0. Here in this album, while our top 3 were good, we ended up with a 4-way tie for 4th place. And it's right next to that 3rd place. So it wouldn't take but one more person voting to maybe even knock our 3rd place out for one of these 4th place songs and break this tie. So somebody else get in here, at least. One more person get in here.
Come on, Jay, Steve, where you been?
Yeah.
Javier, come on, bro.
So our dead last for this album, in this case, thanks to that huge tie, is 7th place. Is Southern Ballad, If This Means Losing You.
Yeah.
So yeah, not surprising there. It's the only one both of us had pretty low down. In sixth place for this album, Heart of Mine. In fifth place, Without Your Love. Right in fourth place, the whole rest of the album, basically. For You, I'm Aware of Your Love, Fallen, and The Night Has Me Calling for You. And like I said, those are, I mean, right next to what ended up being our third place, which is Love Me Tonight. So that could very easily get knocked out of there. And second place, very appropriately, I think we can agree, second place, Counting on You. And in first place, Heart of Stone.
Nice. Yeah, let's get the votes in, people. I think again, the dullness of the albums are gone. It's all heavy hitters from now on. Let's get it picking back up. So, we're calling on you guys, get some votes in. Like I said again, come on the show if anybody wants to come participate on any of the upcoming albums. And again, I'm going to say it again just to reiterate: do not hesitate to ask one of us if we, can send you the album, over email or whatever. If you're having trouble finding it on YouTube or wherever, just please, I am more than willing. We are more than willing to send out the album over email to as many people as it takes to get as much input as it takes. So, just again, I just want to reiterate: do not hesitate to ask us. Because again, as mentioned earlier in the show, next week is Billy Squier. What is the name of that?
The Tale of the Tape.
Tale of the Tape, featuring Bruce again. Interested to hear this one because, obviously Billy Squier is another one. Great artist, had a bunch of great songs, but I'm sure this is, the early stuff before those hits came along, as far as I could tell. So I don't think any of those are going to be on this album, but hey, I'm hoping for something that I didn't even know that will just add to the Billy Squier catalog of songs that I like now by him. So definitely looking forward to checking this one out. And then following that will now be the second Blackjack album, correct?
Yep.
And then immediately following that, we're getting into Peter Criss. So we're going to start hitting some of these official Kiss member solo albums.
Definitely.
Oh, nice. 303.
Of course.
Go figure, right?
Ugh.
Oh, man. All right. So I guess that's it for this Blackjack episode. Again, next week, Billy Squier, again featuring Bruce Kulick. So we have 3 Bruce Kulick related episodes coming. So again, looking forward to it. And we'll get that list updated on the group. Again, make sure you join the group page. So until next week, then, we will see you. Take care.